Most older men believe their private routines are harmless, even helpful. But what if the very way you've been doing it is slowly cutting off the blood flow that keeps your manhood alive? And worse, by the time you notice the signs, it might already be too late. Let's talk about the truth. My name is Dr. James. I'm a men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience helping older men protect their vitality, circulation, and intimate connection to life. And today, I want to open a conversation that most doctors avoid, but that could make the difference between lasting strength and silent decline. Because here's the truth. It's not the act of self-pleasure that's dangerous. It's how you do it. Specifically, 4 hidden masturbation mistakes that can quietly damage your blood vessels, weaken your erections, and slowly erode the intimacy and strength you still deserve. One of these mistakes is so common, so routine, that almost no one talks about it. And yet, it may be silently choking off the blood flow your body needs to stay alive, responsive, and connected. In this video, I'll reveal what those 4 mistakes are, and more importantly, how to avoid them. You'll learn how to protect your circulation, preserve youthful function, and sustain deep connection in your relationships, no matter your age. But first, a quick note. If you haven't already subscribed, I encourage you to click the button now and turn on the bell icon. That way, you won't miss any future insights that could help you protect your health, your energy, and your confidence. And if this video already feels valuable, type 1 in the comments. If there's a topic you'd rather see, type 0. Your voice helps shape this space. Now, let's get into the first major mistake, and one that's quietly causing more harm than most men ever realize. Mistake 1. Using too much force and pressure. It happens more often than you'd think. As men age, sensitivity begins to fade and natural blood flow slows. In response, many men, without even realizing it, begin to grip harder, pull more aggressively, trying to recreate sensation that once came easily. But this subtle shift, this simple, forceful habit, is doing more than you think. The penis is filled with tiny, delicate blood vessels. They're like thin garden hoses, soft, flexible, but vulnerable. When you apply too much pressure again and again, you're not just pushing harder, you're crushing the very veins that support your erections. Over time, this leads to micro tears, inflammation, scarring. Blood flow begins to suffer. And at first, you may not even notice. Maybe a little less sensitivity. Maybe your erections aren't as strong or lasting. But behind the scenes, circulation is weakening. Quietly, steadily. And once these vessels are damaged, they don't bounce back easily, especially not after 60. In fact, they may close off completely, making recovery nearly impossible without medical help. You wouldn't strangle the roots of a tree and expect it to keep growing. But that's exactly what's happening to countless men, day after day, without them ever realizing why things aren't working like they used to. That's why gentle, mindful touch matters. It's not weakness, it's wisdom, it's preservation. It's your body asking you to treat it with care. Because now more than ever, it needs you to listen. And if you think this is the only danger hiding in plain sight, just wait. Because mistake 2 begins before the first touch even happens. And it could be sabotaging your performance without you ever seeing it coming. Let's talk about it next. Mistake 2. Ignoring the circulation. Warm-up here's another critical oversight, one that silently drains your strength, often without you realizing it. And it starts before the first touch ever happens. Too many men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond skip one of the simplest yet most vital steps before any sexual activity: warming up the circulation. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't this supposed to be spontaneous? Isn't that part of the point? But here's what most people forget. The body at 60 is not the body at 30. Not even close. Blood vessels stiffen. Elasticity fades. The heart and arteries no longer respond with the same speed or force. The circulatory system, once quick and responsive, now takes time to wake up. And yet, most men dive straight into stimulation. Cold, tense, unprepared, expecting the same results they had decades ago. It's like trying to race a car with a cold, frozen engine. You might get some movement at first, but you're forcing a fragile system into high demand without warning. And over time, that stress adds up. When you skip a proper warm-up, You deny your body the chance to prepare. The sudden demand for blood flow creates strain on already weakened vessels. You get uneven circulation, erratic surges instead of smooth flow. Tiny capillaries inside the penis, the ones responsible for firm, sustained erections, become overwhelmed, and little by little they start to wear down. You won't feel the damage at first. Maybe you'll notice a slight drop in sensitivity. Maybe arousal takes longer. But the real problem? It compounds. Quietly. Slowly. And by the time most men realize something's wrong, the damage is already done. That's why I tell every patient this. Skipping the circulation warm-up is not harmless. It's not just a missed opportunity. It's a slow erosion of your body's ability to support life, connection, and joy. Without proper blood flow, tissues begin to lose vitality. The responsiveness fades. Intimacy becomes more frustrating, more confusing, more disconnected. What should be a moment of pleasure becomes a source of tension, even grief. But the solution? It's simple. Take just a few minutes. Stand and stretch. Breathe deeply. Massage your abdomen gently. Move your hips, your legs, anything to get the blood flowing. This tiny routine helps your vessels open, your muscles soften, and your body prepare. It makes everything smoother, more natural, and safer. Because at this stage in life, every small choice carries big weight. You're either preparing your body for strength and connection, or you're unknowingly setting it up for decline. And speaking of overlooked choices, there's one more habit that quietly ruins recovery. It's not about when or how often you engage. It's about what you do afterward. And sadly, most men are making it worse, without even knowing it. That's what we'll explore next in Mistake 3. Overfrequency without recovery. Of all the habits that quietly erode a man's strength after 60, overfrequency without proper recovery might be the most dangerously underestimated. I understand how it starts. Many of us grew up with a certain belief that the more we engaged in sexual activity, the better. That frequent release kept the engine running. That it proved something: virility, youth, masculinity. But the truth is, after 60, your body plays by a different set of rules. And when we cling to old patterns without adapting to those changes, we may end up destroying the very things we're trying so hard to preserve. Every time you engage in sexual activity, whether with a partner or alone, your circulatory system leaps into action. Blood rushes to the tissues. Nitric oxide floods the vessels to allow for expansion. Your heart, arteries, veins, and muscles all engage in a complex, coordinated response. When you're young, your body recovers quickly. But as you age, that recovery slows. And if you continue to stimulate your system too frequently without rest, you're not reinforcing your strength. You're depleting it. Quietly. Steadily. The real damage happens beneath the surface. Chronic overuse without downtime leads to persistent, low-grade inflammation within the blood vessels. The cells lining your arteries, called the endothelium, start to malfunction. Instead of opening freely to allow blood to surge through, they stiffen, narrow, and resist. Over time, this dysfunction causes decreased blood flow. Erections become weaker, more inconsistent. Your risk of high blood pressure, heart issues, and other circulatory problems increases. And you may never see it coming, because the decline is so gradual, so subtle, that many men simply accept it. Until one day they ask, why does everything feel different? Why is intimacy more difficult? Why does the spark feel dimmer? And it doesn't just affect the body. Mentally, emotionally, the quiet loss of function chips away at confidence. Frustration builds. Doubt creeps in. And instead of creating intimacy, we begin to create distance, with ourselves and with the people we love. Let me be clear. This is not just about pleasure. It's about presence. It's about protecting your ability to experience closeness, joy, and meaning, even in your most vulnerable moments. Real vitality after 60 isn't about more. It's about better. It's about honoring your body's rhythm. Choosing quality over quantity. And giving your system the time it needs to recover, repair, and return stronger. Every moment of rest is an investment. In your future strength. In your circulation. In your ability to love, fully and deeply, for many years to come. But as important as frequency is, it's not the only hidden threat. Because the next mistake, it doesn't start in your body. It starts in your mind. It's a quiet oversight. That's even more damaging than the physical ones we've covered, because it disconnects you from the very thing your body needs to perform at its best. Mistake 4. Mentally disconnecting from the body. This might be the most overlooked and most heartbreaking mistake of them all. Losing connection with your own body during intimacy. After 60, it's easy to fall into routine. You move through the motions without truly feeling anything. No presence. No awareness. Just a quiet attempt to recapture sensation. And maybe a moment of relief. But over time, that mindless habit doesn't just dull emotional connection. It silently weakens your body's ability to function. Why? Because intimacy isn't just physical, it's neurological. When you mentally check out, you break the feedback loop between your brain, nervous system, and blood vessels. Circulation suffers. Blood flow drops. Responsiveness fades. And the more this disconnect happens, the more fragile your performance becomes, until one day, it's nearly gone. But it doesn't stop there. The damage spills into your confidence, your warmth, your ability to feel alive in your own skin. You begin to treat your body like a machine, something to use, not to honor. And in return, your body begins to retreat. But here's the truth. Presence heals. Gentle attention restores blood flow. Awareness invites vitality back in. At this stage of life, your body doesn't need you to push harder. It needs you to listen, to slow down, to show up fully, because that's how you stay connected not just to sensation, but to your spirit. And now that you've seen the 4 silent mistakes, a deeper truth becomes clear. The hidden danger. These mistakes stack a little pressure here. A skipped warm-up, a rushed session, a disconnected mind. None of these seem catastrophic on their own. But together, they quietly stack, day after day, year after year, like micro-fractures beneath a polished floor. And eventually, things begin to collapse. Blood vessels harden, sensitivity fades, erections grow weak. Intimacy becomes effortful or disappears altogether. And all the while, you tell yourself, it's just aging. But it's not. It's slow erosion, silent damage, preventable decline, if you catch it in time. Conclusion. Reclaiming strength and connection. After 60 now that you've come this far, it's time to face the truth. Not the softened version we're often told, but the truth that lives in your body, in your blood, in the quiet moments when no one's watching. These weren't small mistakes. They weren't harmless slips. They were silent thieves, stealing your strength, your passion, your sense of self, one unnoticed habit at a time. Every time you rushed instead of warmed up. Every time you ignored what your body was asking for. Every time you went through the motions without presence, a little piece of your vitality slipped further out of reach. But here's the truth that matters more than all the rest. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are not done. Your body hasn't given up on you. It's been waiting for your attention, waiting for your care, waiting for you to stop punishing it with silence and start honoring it with intention. And that begins now, right here, in this moment. From this point forward, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. Present enough to choose patience over pressure, kindness over judgment, connection over performance. Warm up before you engage. Not just your body, but your mind, your spirit. Create space, not just physically, but emotionally. Give yourself permission to slow down, to feel, to receive. Recovery isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Your nervous system needs breath, softness, and rhythm to heal. And healing is not a goal, it's a way of living. It's how you reclaim dignity from a world that told you aging meant disappearance. These aren't just healthy habits. They are radical acts of self-respect. They are you saying, I am still here. I still matter. I still feel. I still want to live fully, not fade quietly. Millions of men struggle in silence with these same challenges, but only a few ever rise. Not because they're stronger, but because they choose to fight back. with knowledge, with discipline, with heart. And you've already taken the most important step, awareness. You've seen the truth, named the patterns, and acknowledged what was lost. Now, it's time to take the second step, action. Because your circulation isn't gone, your confidence isn't gone. Your ability to love, to touch, to feel deep connection, it's all still there, waiting for you beneath the noise, beneath the numbness. Your body doesn't need to be young. It needs to be honored. Your strength doesn't need to come from hormones. It needs to come from presence, consistency, and care. And your best years? They aren't behind you. They're still ahead, waiting to be claimed with boldness, with softness, with courage. So go. Begin again, not because you have something to prove, but because you have something beautiful left to live. Your story is not over. It's just beginning, again. And this time, you're writing it with strength, dignity, and a fire that refuses to go out.